What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back for another review of Tyler Perry's Sistas. This is season 7, episode 6, and the episode is titled Pretty Hurts. Let's go ahead and jump right into this episode. So we actually start off with the celebration of Sabrina's birthday. The ladies are going to meet up at Andy's house to celebrate. So Danny is the first person to show up, and first things first, y'all. When I saw Danny in that blazer, all I can say was, girl, did you get that out of Sabrina's closet? Or did you wear it because it's Sabrina's birthday? Because that was more on brand for Sabrina than it was for Danny. But the color, it looks really great on her. Really great color for her skin tone. It just was a lot going on. Now, y'all keep in mind, I want y'all to remember that Danny basically said that she called off work so that way she could be here. We learned that Sabrina is turning 35. So all the ladies, they are the same age. They are around 34, 35 years old. I could have swore that when this show first started, what's her name? Karen. I think Karen went to like the doctor and she was like 36 or something. But maybe I could be wrong. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong or not. Nonetheless, Sabrina comes in, her and Karen, and I must say I absolutely loved Sabrina's outfit. That brown on her skin tone looked beautiful, okay? Now, the girls are going around and they talk about Andy and how, Jordan, he's this political figure now, how she's always on his arm or whatever, and it's all over the news. Now, Danny, she actually opens up about her therapy sessions, and she talks about how she's into these, like, erotic stories on some type of app. Yeah, I didn't know where that was really going. And Karen has to give an update on her situation with Zach and how he asked for a paternity test, and she knows that Fatima is the one who put this idea in his head. And I'm just like, well, girl, if only you knew that your homegirl Danny was a part of all of that. But you don't know that just yet. So Danny, she questions, if they're wrong for wanting to know officially who the father is. And Karen, she ends up asking Danny, like, oh, so you're on their side. And is. She absolutely is. She's on their side. But also, Karen, let's just go ahead, let this man know if he's the father so we can put all of this to rest. So the ladies, they go around and they tell Sabrina what they love about her. And it was a really, really sweet moment. Sabrina, she ends up getting a little emotional and talks about the fact that she's 35 years old, life is happening, and she plans to freeze her eggs. Now, at the same time, she mentions how Rich, he likes his freedom. I said, yeah, so clearly baby girl is working on an exit plan when it comes to Rich. And I must say that I'm very happy for that because she could have tried to stick around and make things work with Rich and she wouldn't have been happy. Now, one thing that I will say is that I love how supportive the ladies were to Sabrina. Like, oh yeah, girl, we support you. Even though Danny was kind of, I don't know, it was giving on the fence. And I feel like it's because she don't want kids. So it's like she gives a little judgment to anybody who actually does want kids, because it's like, you want kids, really? Just because she don't want to. But nonetheless, we already know that Sabrina has wanted to be a mom since she was a child, which is very strange to say. Now, when it comes to Sabrina, she basically said that she is going to have to let Rich go because he's kind of made up his mind as to him not wanting kids. And then at one point, I believe it was Karen who jumped in and talked about how, me and they have all these issues, including how Zach, he would always try to push his mommy issues on her. Then she goes on to talk about the fact that, she's going to be a single mother or whatever. And yes, she is going to be a single mother. And no, I'm not taking away from Zach's involvement with the child. What I'm saying is when that child is just her and a baby, she is a single mother. So she will be a single mom and it will be hard, but she'll survive. Like, I actually don't even mind Sabrina taking on this whole new idea of women choosing to be single mothers because they want children. So I think that storyline can be so well developed versus the Karen, Zach, baby mama drama. You know what I'm saying? All right, so let's go ahead and move on, you guys. We actually see Hayden and Gary. They are at the gym. Gary, he's so heavy on the booger sugar that he got nosebleeds happening. I'm like, Gary, please go away. Like, there's no way you could have told me that this man would be spiraling like this when we first met Gary. But this is where we are. So Gary, he wants to help Hayden make partner because he doesn't want it to be Andy. Because, Andy's not that good of a lawyer and he feels like no woman should have that much power. Of course you feel that way. Of course. Like, I am so ready for him to go to jail. Like, I'm still trying to figure out how the FBI was looking for Gary and still ain't found his ass. Like, did they just completely skip over what happened with the FBI and Gary after that white man died? I'm not understanding. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and move on. So, we have Pam. She's over here doing somebody's hair, and she's like posting it all on her social media, talking about ooh, girl, we had 3,000 people on my live. I'm trying to figure out, when did Pam become a stylist? I'm like, this girl used to work the front desk. Did she just become a stylist overnight? Like, I know 3 months passed. Did she get her license in that time? What is going on in the salon? It ain't making no sense. But I still love Pam. But yeah, that was a little weird. So we moved back over to the ladies who were celebrating Sabrina's birthday. And basically everybody's leaving or whatever. And before Sabrina leaves, Andy ends up giving her a check. Okay? She said, baby, this is an investment for you to get started on that process of, freezing your eggs. Now, in my mind, I said, dang, Andy, how much money do you have? Like, you just hand out money every time we turn around. But then I remembered, she got all her money back when the charges were dropped from Sabrina's situation. So, it all makes sense. Sabrina, she actually ends up going over Maurice's house, and he tells her all about his date with Grayson. I wish that we would have actually saw it. Like, I get it, Maurice is not a main character, but I would have loved to see him on a date and actually have a good time on a date. But that's not what we got. She ends up asking him if he's heard from Calvin, and he's like, yeah, he paid his part of the rent. Excuse me? Stop the tape. What are you talking about? Why is Calvin paying rent if he has moved away to a whole nother state? Is he planning on coming back? Like, y'all, don't tell me that they plan on bringing Calvin back and then he gonna step in to be the daddy for Sabrina's child. Because I can totally see that happen. But I'm just saying, why would he be still paying rent to Maurice? Unless, they had an agreement that he would continue to pay until the lease changes or something. But then they got me to thinking, wait a second. I don't even think Calvin's name was added to the lease. You know what? Let me not do a deep dive into this. So Sabrina ends up telling Maurice how Rich doesn't want kids, right? How she plans on freezing her eggs. And at first, when he called that baby an ice baby, I was hollering. He does end up singing her happy birthday or whatever, and then she ends up leaving. Now, let's go ahead and move on, you guys, because this scene right here, I was so thrown off. So, we get to Zach, baby. He's so emotional. He's thanking Andy and Fatima because, he now has custody of his child. But when I tell you, it was just so interesting watching him be so, crying and emotional while Fatima ain't shed not a one tear. Andy's just sitting there, with that little grin on her face. I'm just like, this is a little awkward, but okay. Nonetheless, he got custody of Michael. Andy has won the case. He starts listing all these things that they're going to do as a family, going to basketball games, having organic home-cooked meals. I said, first of all, you don't even have that now. You don't have organic home-cooked meals. I know that you don't. Then he had the audacity to tell Fatima, oh yeah, you may need to trade your car in for a minivan. Sir, that's your child. Why aren't you trading in your car for a minivan? Make that make sense. So then he ends up mentioning how they need to get a bigger place. Now that I agree on, because they swear that Michael had a room upstairs that I don't understand where it could possibly be. Because they are living in a duplex. Okay? Now, nonetheless, we see that Fatima gets like a message on her phone. And when she looked down at it, it looked like it was something really serious. But, she wiped that off her face and then put on this happy, jolly, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that we got Michael and this is a happy moment. But you can just see it behind her eyes that there's something else that's going on. So then we move on to Danny. She goes over to Tony's house in this bright yellow trench coat. Now, I don't even know where she found this yellow trench coat. It looked great on her skin, but I'm just like, baby, this is bright. So she ends up mentioning to him how, it's Monday, I called off, I want to surprise my man. But baby, next thing you know, his 2 kids ran into the room. So Danny is all types of freaked out. You know what I mean? She's embarrassed because these are his kids. And that is not the way you meet somebody's children. It's just not. So Tony ends up sending his kids away out the room or whatever. And he ends up explaining that, usually the kids stay with their mom. But right now she needed him to basically step up and take the kids. He agreed to do it. So he has the kids for the summer. Oh, y'all. This is where Daniela pissed me off. Because she felt like, oh, you should have told me this. And he's like, yeah, I was going to tell you that. But at the end of the day, you should have been at work. Like, you should have been popping up at my house. And I agree with him on that. And then he's like, you already knew that I had kids. But then her response is what pissed me off, y'all. She said, yeah, but not the live-in kind. Not the live-in kind? Ma'am, so what do you mean by that? Would you rather date a man who has children but does not see them and does not take care of them? Because that's the vibe that is given. And let's be completely honest, there's lots of men who tend to leave that relationship that he had kids in, move on to the next, and completely forget about those kids as if they don't exist. So that's what you would rather have? Wow, Daniela. Because it's all about you, right? That's crazy. That right there, I'm sorry, y'all, that rubbed me the wrong way. Because I would have absolutely respected if it was a situation where she was like, oh, I didn't want to meet your kids in this type of position where I am like, showing up in a trench coat and lingerie on. I can understand that, but for you to be like, I thought you had kids but not the live-in kind? Absolutely crazy. But you know what? Let's go ahead and move on. Y'all, we go back to the salon and it's booming. Roots to riches, it's popping. Okay? And then we see Trey. He come over again. I'm like, is this the only place you get to deliver packages? Because you're here all the time. So he come over there. He's trying to flirt with Karen or whatever. Bye, Trey. We're tired. I'm tired of seeing him, y'all. But in this moment, when I see Pam and Karen, I wish that there was a point where Pam transitioned from being an assistant to partner. Why isn't Karen and Pam partners? Because they're moving like they are. Like the fact that, Pam has product that she's trying to push at the salon and all of this stuff. She's using the company card to invest in it. It's giving they should have been partners instead of her just being an assistant. Or am I crazy? Like, I would have liked to see her role be expanded in that way. But I guess we shall see what they have in store for Pam's character. Alright, so next, you guys, we actually see Andy and Fatima, where Fatima reveals that she got accepted into law school. And I'm like, finally. Because we've been hearing Fatima talk about going to law school since season 1, okay? Fatima, she hasn't told Zach yet, of course. And it's very clear that Fatima is overwhelmed with all the things that are happening in her life. And so much of her life has been revolved around Zach that now that this is something that's big for her, I feel like Fatima doesn't even know how to handle it or process it because her world has been revolving around Zach. But y'all, let's go ahead and move on. So, we actually see Andy run into Hayden, right? And it was a brief little conversation, but it did make her change her mind about going out with Jordan that night. Fatima, she ends up going home and baby Zach done tore the house up. Zach has flipped that house upside down, okay? There's stuff everywhere for Michael. All these toys, all these coloring books, all the everything for children. Baby, he has moved her desk area. It's like he's doing way too much. He ends up getting a call from Bryce talking about we about to go look at this property. Why are y'all always looking at properties at night? That's weird. Like, Bryce, you can't look at properties in the middle of the day. Also, Zach, you ain't got no job. You ain't got nothing to do. You can go look at that property tomorrow morning. Be so for real. Because he ends up leaving or whatever. And while Fatima was telling him, hey, you need to clean this up, move all this stuff, and put my desk back. So Fatima, again, overwhelmed. So she ends up calling her friend to come over. So I was about to go ahead and finish out this Fatima and Angela thing. So her friend Angela shows up and she finds Fatima over here coloring in a coloring book. So Fatima, she tells her about how she got into law school and how, they won the custody of Michael. But then she also mentions how Zach has 2 babies in 1 year and how, what if I want kids? Here we go. Fatima is realizing that a lot of stuff has happened when it comes to Zach. Okay, she's been ride or die for months upon months. And it's just been things stacking. The world has been revolving around Zach. And when something finally happens for her, she don't even know how to celebrate. That's crazy. She doesn't want to get lost in the sauce. What should I say? In Zach's sauce. And what he got going on. Because she has dreams. She has aspirations. She has things that she wants to do in this life. And she don't want her world to revolve around Zach. Baby, this is why I've been saying that I wanted those two to take a break from each other. Because I wanted Zach to get all of his stuff, all of his affairs in order on his own without Fatima. And I wanted Fatima to go back to who she originally was. And I get it. Her life has changed. She may not be that original girl, but there should be some elements of the original Fatima. Because we've lost her. All wrapped up in Zach's foolishness. So, I will say that I appreciate the fact that the writers are making Fatima acknowledge that she's getting lost in Zach's life and she needs to go back to go find her own. Alright, y'all, so now we see Hayden and Tamara or whatever. They're getting ready to have dinner. And it seemed like Tamara did not know that Gary and Penelope were coming over because she was shocked to see that man. So she's pissed off, y'all, actually, that Gary is there. And she was cool with Penelope. She was real nice to her. Gary and Hayden, they have this conversation and Gary is telling him like, no, you got to get this big case. You got to catch a big fish. And we already know that the case that he wants him to take is whatever Gary has going on about Jordan. Whatever that is, he wants Hayden to take the case. So, later on, we actually see them have this awkward dinner where Tamara asked him something about the baby, and Gary, of course, was talking over Penelope, like he always do, and Tamara's like, well, can't she speak? One thing that I will say is that Tamara does not back down from Gary, and I do like that. So next thing you know, we see Gary, he gets a phone call. He's still trying to set this whole Jordan thing up. You had Hayden, he had to show Penelope to the bathroom or whatever. And next thing you know, we have Gary and Tamara going back and forth, right? And I mean, they were all up in each other's face to the point that they kissed. I said, excuse me? I'm sorry. There was no sexual tension with those two people. she really don't like that man. And I really wish that they would have kept it that way. Because I don't need Hayden and Tamara to fall apart behind Gary. As much as I don't like Hayden, I do like Tamara for Hayden. Even though she can be annoying as well. But I do like that for him. I don't need her and Gary to be, sneaking around and all that. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. Also, I feel like we can have two people that don't like each other just because they don't like each other. Not that there's sexual tension. Because that was very random to me. But y'all, let's go ahead and move on. So we actually see Karen. She goes to the doctor because this girl, she wants to know who her baby daddy is, okay? She done already had one guy tested some type of way. Now she's ready to get Zach tested. And let's go ahead and put this to bed once and for all. So y'all, the end of the episode, we actually see Dani. She is writing in her diary, and this is probably the best thing that I have seen in a while. Like, I love the way that it was shot with the montage of all the ladies, but the whole point of this scene was that Dani wrote a letter to herself, okay? And it was a very honest moment where she talked about where she was in life, what she wants, the type of partner that she wants. And this is probably the most honest and open we've ever seen Dani. So I'm really hoping that by like the end of this season, we get Dani at her best version. Now, I personally feel like she should drop Tony. Not because Tony is a bad guy, but she has so much inner working to do that she don't need a man right now. She needs to focus on herself and then maybe circle back to Tony. But we shall see if that ever happens. You guys, that was the episode. It was a pretty smooth sailing episode. Nothing really big happened, at least not to me. Y'all, let me know what y'all thought about it, though. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.